This is Booth Camp, Being an Effective Plant Doctor, a presentation of the Alameda County Master Gardeners. Welcome to the world of being a plant doctor, one of the most important and direct services that Master Gardeners provide to the public. It's also one of the most enjoyable and satisfying activities in which Master Gardeners engage. It's a lot of fun. This presentation is designed to provide techniques and tips for being a successful plant doctor at a booth or at another venue. In this presentation, we show a typical setup of a plant doctor booth, including how to set up a canopy, and we will review the materials available to you to help answer questions and solve problems. We will offer tips on how to be effective and will present some samples of the kinds of questions you might get and the activities you might be involved in. Often you will use one of our canopies at your booth. It's a two-person job setting it up and taking it down. There are laminated directions in the kit to remind you. Here are the steps. 1. Set the canopy on its legs and remove the bag. 2. Grab on opposite sides, lift off the ground, and spread apart as far as you can. 3. To finish spreading to the maximum, you may need to grab the cross members on opposite sides, lift off the ground, and squeeze together. 4. Raise each corner until it slides over the silver button that secures it. Sometimes the corner is tight and both people may be required to get the corner in place. Usually the other corners are much easier once the first one is over the silver button. Note, there should be some lubricant in your kit for making the corners easier to slide up and down. 5. Telescope out the bottoms of the legs until they lock in place. The canopy is easiest to move if two people on opposite sides lift it in the middle of their side. To take the canopy down, reverse the process of putting it up. The only tricky part is being sure all four corners are released so that it will fold up, as in step 2. We set up the table by opening it and covering it with the tablecloth in one of the boxes. Then put out the materials similar to the setup in the photo on the first page of your resource binder. You want all the handouts to be visible and accessible. Lay out the resource books behind the handouts so they are handy for looking things up. Set up your sandwich board perpendicular to the front of your booth, turned so that it is visible to people coming from either direction. Put it to the side so that it does not block people from coming up to the table. We will always try to have at least one experienced Master Gardener at every event who will take responsibility for the following: being familiar with details of the event and the setup procedures, being familiar with all our written materials available to research the answers to questions, being familiar with all the consumables that we hand out and when and how to use them, and being sure that the other Master Gardeners manning the booth are familiar with all the materials and the purpose of our being there. Tips for success. All Master Gardeners should arrive at least 15 minutes prior to the start of the event so there's adequate time for setup and preparation. If you should need to cancel, it's your responsibility to try to find another Master Gardener to take your place. Remember that others are counting on you. You can either contact Master Gardeners you know who might be able to replace you, or you can put out a call on the VMS. Let the event coordinator know in advance if you cannot find a replacement. His or her contact info is on the event page where you signed up to volunteer. Before beginning, the experienced Master Gardener or Master Gardeners organizes a review of the event essentials with all the booth volunteers. It's your time to brush up on what we are exhibiting, review the materials and the purposes of each. Make a good first impression. The people working a booth are often the public's first impression of the Master Gardeners. Having a plant doctor booth at a farmer's market, Earth Day event, the county fair, or another venue is a powerful advertising and public relations opportunity for the Master Gardeners. Some things to do to make a good first impression are: present a professional appearance, and at a minimum, be sure to wear a name badge so visitors can see it. Make it easy for visitors to find the Master Gardeners in the booth. Use the large name badges in the kits that allow you to print your first name large enough that it is easy to see from a distance. If you choose, you may also wear your regular Master Gardener name tag. Be approachable and inviting. Booths should be staffed with people who are willing and able to initiate conversations and answer questions. Don't allow yourself to be caught socializing, reading, or doing other distracting activities if there are folks passing by or approaching who might have questions. Be interactive. Always stand when people approach the booth. If appropriate to the venue, you can stand outside your booth and invite those passing by to take a look at our materials and to ask questions. You might say something like, "Welcome. If you see any gardening materials that you think might be useful, help yourself. And if we can answer any questions, please let us know." Inviting passersby to the booth is especially important if there are activities for kids. It's always good if you can give visitors a useful handout to take with them related to their questions. You can always give them a hotline bookmark so they can contact us with questions in the future. Don't rush to answer a question or address an issue until you are sure you understand it as well as possible. Ask lots of questions yourself, especially if it is a pest problem. If you cannot come up with a solution, ask the client to contact our hotline, give them a hotline bookmark, or use the resources we can offer, like the Pest Note Index, so they can research the problem themselves on the web. Now let's look at the materials in your kit. There's an outreach resource binder which will be valuable to you. The first page of the binder is a checklist to use to remind you of the steps for a successful experience. You should fill out one at each event. Next, you'll find a photo page of a typical setup to assist you with getting your booth ready. Then there's a table of contents of what is in the binder. Some of the important and useful sections of the binder are a page of general procedures for outreach. It's a good idea to read this each time you come so it's fresh in your mind. Contact sheets for recording contacts that you make. It's very important to record all contacts and make a guess as to ethnicity. This data is used to gauge our effectiveness, especially when we are trying to prove our worth to funders. Start a new contact sheet at the beginning of each event. An order form for handout materials that need replenishing. Please quickly inventory your handouts at the end of the day and use the form to order more. Return this order form with your contact sheet to the event coordinator, either in person or via mail. There should be envelopes in the binder for mailing them. There's a set of masters of most of the handouts. You can use these in an emergency to duplicate more. In the binder, there's a list of soil testing facilities and a list of certified arborists in our area. There's also a section of pest notes on the vertebrate pests that often cause problems for gardeners: deer, tree squirrels, pocket gophers, raccoons, and rats. If you are asked about a plant problem, you can use this guide to diagnosing plant problems to help you ask the right questions. The client must be able to identify the plant or have a good photo or have a sample before you can use this guide to help come up with suggestions. For plants and problems that clients cannot positively identify, offer that they bring a sample back to the next scheduled plant doctor booth, or that they email good photos with a description to the hotline email address, which is on our Master Gardener hotline bookmark. Just another reminder, do not fake an answer. It's okay to say you don't know. Now let's look at the books you will find in the kit. There may be other books depending on desires of the coordinator of the event or new decisions about appropriate books. The two books you probably will use most are Pests of the Gardens and Small Farm, which is good for edibles, and Pests of Landscape Trees and Shrubs, which is good for ornamentals. Both have tables of common plants with a listing of the most common pest problems that each plant has and the best strategies for solving the problem. The California Master Gardener Handbook is a general reference that is sometimes useful for expanded information. The Home Orchard is useful for advice about growing fruits and nuts. It does not include citrus. Plants and Landscapes of Summer Dry Climates is valuable for recommending good ornamentals for our climate. It has great photos and descriptions. Healthy Roses is a handy guide for answering rose questions. There is much of the same information in the book Pests of Landscape Trees and Shrubs. Landscape Pest Identification Cards is a user-friendly set of cards on a ring for identifying landscape pests. Clients often enjoy looking at them. The Sunset Western Garden Book is a valuable general reference for identifying plants, looking for lists of plants that grow in specific conditions, such as shade or under oaks, and for information about many other garden issues. There are some useful handouts you'll find in your kit. There may be others depending on the needs of the program and the desires of the coordinator. First, vegetable and herb planting recommendations, a handout organized by warm season crops and cool season crops for all of Alameda County. Index of free pest notes for home and landscape. This handout lists all the appropriate pest notes available from the UC IPM website. These full pest notes on the website are more complete and helpful than the quick tip cards we give away. Composting is good for your garden and the environment. This handout gives the do's and don'ts of good composting plus resources for building your own system. There are bookmarks describing both of our demo gardens. There are lists of the outstanding plants for Alameda County describing good landscape plants, and there are hotline bookmarks. Finally, there's a selection of quick tip pest note cards for common problems. There's our Master Gardener brochures describing our program, and there's a brochure for starting vegetables from seed. These are a few typical questions and how you might respond using UC-approved research information. What do I do about snails and slugs? Well, you can share your knowledge based on UC-approved research and then give them a quick tip card and/or a pest note index with snails and slugs circled. I want to start a vegetable garden. What should I plant and when? You can share your knowledge based on UC-approved research and then give them a copy of vegetable and herb planting recommendations. I want to start composting. What do you suggest? Share your knowledge based on UC-approved research and give them a copy of Composting is Good for Your Garden and the Environment. My roses have orange spots on the leaves. What is it and what should I do? You can share your knowledge based on UC-approved research and refer to the books Healthy Roses and/or Pests of Landscape Trees and Shrubs. You can give them a copy of the Pest Note Index with roses circled. Master Gardeners and how do you become one? You can share your knowledge about the program and give a copy of our program brochure. These are examples of a few other activities that you may be involved in being a plant doctor. Various activities for kids, such as looking at insects and worms and planting seeds. Setting up exhibits, sharing resources, and answering questions at the county fair. Answering questions and sharing resources at our demo gardens. Not only are you doing the gardening public a great service, but being a plant doctor is also very enjoyable for Master Gardeners. It's an opportunity to learn more, both from doing research using our resources and from sharing with your fellow Master Gardeners. It's a great way to build friendships and a sense of community. Happy plant doctoring!